Good morning, students. Let's start the next part of the chapter India after independence. And this is the third part of this chapter. In this video, we'll discuss about three topics. First, the search for an independent foreign policy. Second, what happened in Sri Lanka. And third, the nation 70 years on, after 70 years. So, we'll cover three topics in this video. So let's start the first topic, the search for an independent foreign policy. You know that India got freedom on 15th of August 1947 after the devastation of the Second World War. Second World War, which was fought from 1939 to 1945. After the end of the Second World War, many African and Asian countries got independence. India was one of them. So, what was the new challenge in front of India? Including the home policies, means internal problems, internal challenges. External challenges also were there. What were the challenges? At that time, after the Second World War, entire world was in the situation of bipolar world. Bipolar world. What was the bipolar world? Bi means two, right? So entire world was divided into two parts. Almost all the countries of the world after the Second World War were divided into two parts. Which were these two parts? Those who were in favor of communism and those who were in favor of capitalism. The countries which were following the communism, idea of communism, were led by USSR, and the countries which were following the idea of capitalism were led by USA, United States of America. So entire world was divided into two equal parts, and this situation was of great depression between USSR and the USA. Clear? And this situation is also known as situation of Cold War. So now the pressure was on India also, including all those countries which got freedom after the Second World War. They were pressurized to join either this group or this group. But India did not want to join any of them, nor neither communism nor capitalism. Why? Because India had to focus on its another challenges, to solve the other challenges, including removal of poverty, the challenge of refugees, right? Economic status, agricultural development. So these kinds of challenges. So India was not in condition of the strong position and not in condition of joining either the group, capitalist or communist. So India adopted the policy of non-aligned. Clear? Non-aligned. And non-aligned movement means non-aligned movement was the movement of those countries which did not want to join communism or capitalism ideological countries, or either the group USSR or USA. So with India, some other countries also were there. In 1955 at Bandung in Indonesia, the conference was held of these countries who are following the ideas of non-aligned. Clear? And in 1961, the first conference of non-aligned movement was held, and in 1961 non-aligned movement was established. Clear? Now there are 120 countries are the members of non-aligned movement. So who played very important role in establishment of non-aligned movement? Non-aligned is the policy to stay away from the two groups during the Cold War. Means they will not join the USA group or they will not join the USSR group. So this policy is known as non-aligned movement or non-aligned policy. So let's discuss about the leaders, those who played very important role in non-aligned movement. So dear students, these are the leaders who played very important role in the establishment and the successness of the non-aligned movement. Who are these? Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru from India. Then Prime Minister of India, who was the main leader in the non-aligned movement. Joseph Broz Tito was the president of Yugoslavia. Gamal Abdul Nasser was the president of Egypt. Kwame Nkrumah was the president of Ghana, friend of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and Sukarno was president of Indonesia. So you have to remember these names. These were the main leaders of non-aligned movement. So dear students, in this way we have understood that non-aligned movement was established in 1961 and till now it is going on, and there are 120 countries are there. At that time approximately 25 countries were there in the initial stage of non-aligned movement, and this was the policy based on not join any group in the world on the basis of communism and capitalism ideology, or we can say that between USA and USSR group countries, right? Now let's discuss the next topic of this chapter. Dear students, next topic is the nation 70 years on. You know that India got free on 15th of August 1947, and if we see the data till 2017, 15th August 2017, we have completed 70 years of independence, right? So India has experienced 70 years, more than 70 years as free nation, clear? So during this time, whether we are talking about our constitution and the successfulness of our constitution, how much it is succeeded in its objectives and ideologies, right? In ideals set out in the constitution. So if we see the ideals set out in our constitution, how much we have got success, how much we are not successful. So if we see that according to our constitution, our country is completely united, clear? The country is united and based on equality. Equality means all the people are having or enjoying the fundamental rights given in the part 3 of the constitution, including equality, freedom, right against exploitation, all kinds of fundamental rights. And in spite of having the different cultures, different languages, different religions, India is united country. Many states were formed on the basis of language, which were called as linguistic states. So in spite of linguistic states, we are united. Entire country is completely united. So in this way we can say that the ideals set in the constitution are completely successful. But on other hands, we can see that many persisting are there with the divisions. We have some kinds of divisions also in our country, and we can say in other words that constitution is not having the successness in in the scope of the removal of divisions and inequalities from the country. Inequalities from the country. For example, in the social scenario, we have inequalities. The people still are discriminating on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, on the basis of language. The people are still having the divisions. If we see in the political scenario, politically, we have the equal rights. Understand? According to the constitution, all the people can have the right to vote, all the people can make their political parties, they can fight election, they can criticize the government, but in fact the poor people cannot have the equal access to the political rights. Poor people cannot fight election. If they fight election, they cannot win election. Understand? Even poor people are not free to vote. Sometimes their votes are purchased by the rich people. So in social and political scenario, we are not experiencing equal means circumstances or equality to all the people. If we talk about economic sphere, definitely there are so many different differences in the country. We are having the experience of this. There is big difference between the poor and rich people. Poor people are disseminated on the basis of their economic status. So in this way we can say that both of the things, both of the aspects are there. If we observe the successness of our constitution, that how much it is successful in getting its goals and ideals right set up in the constitution, then both of the aspects are there in our constitution, that we are united as well as we are experiencing some divisions and inequalities, right? I hope that you are understanding this topic. Now let's discuss the next topic. Dear students, next topic is what happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is our neighboring country and it is a member of SAARC also. Clear? So it is situated to the south of India. Sri Lanka is equal in population as well as in area like Haryana. Understand? So it is small country, much smaller than India in comparison of India. But it is having the ethnic diversities. Clear? So ethnic composition is there in Sri Lanka, that is Singla speaking. Singla language speaking people 74%. It means in Sri Lanka 74% people speak Singla language. Clear? And 18% people speak Tamil language and others 8%. So in this way, this is the ethnic composition in which Singli language speaking people are in majority. They are in majority. In 1948, when Sri Lanka got freedom in 1948, elections were conducted and Singla speaking majority people formed the government. After making government in the next few years, if we talk about particular, in 1956 an act was passed in Sri Lanka. In India also in 1956 an act was passed, Reorganization Act, States Reorganization Act, according to which the states were formed on the basis of language, like Andhra Pradesh on the basis of language of Telugu. Clear? So in Sri Lanka on the same time an act was passed to identify single language in Sri Lanka, and that language was Singla language. Singla language became the national language, as well as this became only language in offices, in education, in the constitution and in everywhere. Singla language became the major language in Sri Lanka. Clear? And Singla language speakers were provided priority in the educational institutions admissions, in governmental jobs and everywhere. So in this way, this was the act making the differences between Tamil language speaker people and Singla language speakers. Clear? And we can say that Singla language speakers got more facilities in comparison of Tamil language speakers. This act led to the civil war in Sri Lanka. Civil war in Sri Lanka because Tamil language speakers were not happy with this act and they opposed this act. They were fighting for their rights. An MP in Sri Lanka said that if you are denying me my language, you are denying me everything. This statement was given by an MP in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka means Ceylon. This is the old name of Sri Lanka, Ceylon. Clear? So we can say that this led to the civil war in which Tamil language speakers formed their groups and organization and they fought for their rights. Right? They lifted their arms and started the revolt, and this led to the civil war, and they formed many organizations like LTTE, Liberation of Tamil Tigers, ELAM. So these were the groups of Tamil language speakers. So in this way, thousands of people were killed in Sri Lanka till 2008. Understand? So dear students, I hope that you are understanding what happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan government did not adopt the right policy sharing the powers, so it felt the civil war and experienced the killing of many people, right? So same happened in Pakistan, division of Pakistan on the basis of language. We are talking about the differences on the basis of language. In Pakistan, in eastern Pakistan, the language was Urdu. Sorry, in eastern Pakistan, the language was Bengali. We can say Bengali language in eastern Pakistan. And in western Pakistan, Urdu. So on the basis of these languages, Pakistan was divided into two parts. Eastern part became the Bangladesh, as at this time you can understand that Bangladesh was founded separate country in 1971, in December 1971, after Indo-Pak war. So on the basis of language, Pakistan was divided into two parts. Bangladesh and Western Pakistan remained as Pakistan. So dear students, I hope that you are understanding the topics. So in this way we have completed this chapter. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment box, you can ask me. Otherwise, you have to revise this chapter by reading from the textbook and by watching this video. Thank you.